Good evening, class. My name is Brian Franks. This is video discussion for Unit 1. This week we are to discuss the difference between strategic planning and strategic management. First, in order to discuss the differences between the two, we must first have a definition of what both strategic management and strategic planning is. Some sources will tell you that strategic management and strategic planning are one and the same. However, while this can be true, as they are both part of the same overall process, each phase has a slightly different implication. Strategic planning is the process of formulating a direction for an organization, while the strategic management is the process of determining how this direction can be achieved. So in essence, strategic planning is figuring out what you want to do, while strategic management is figuring out how you are going to get the end results. Most businesses complete some form of strategic planning. They have a series of business initiatives, a rough idea of their goals. But where most businesses falter is in their strategic management. Their company's operations need to be analyzed and fine-tuned so that they are working towards the initiatives that have been set by their strategic planning. Thus, strategic planning and strategic management both need to be used together in order to be effective. Strategic process begins with strategic planning, at which point the organization decides upon its mission statement, vision, and objectives. Through the process of strategic planning, an organization will identify its major hurdles and determine the best ways to take advantage of its resources available and the environment to which they are operating in. Once this is complete, the strategic management process begins. Here, the organization will need to determine both short-term and long-term methods to leverage its resources in order to meet its goals. One of the main reasons why strategic plans fail to be operational is due to a couple different factors. The first is the overestimation of resources and abilities of the organization. A lot of times, organizations will not realize the true amount of capital that they currently possess. Also, they don't realize the lack of current talent that they might have within their own organization to be able to achieve their goals. Another reason is the underestimation of both time and personnel, and also the financial requirements to achieve their plan. It's one thing to have a goal in mind, and it's another thing to know how to get it, but it's something else to actually have the proper people in place, plus the money and capital required to achieve those goals. Also, an inability to gain the support of others, accompanied by poor communication. Another reason is a lot of organizations have been able to not identify their objectives correctly. This, of course, will then cause an incomplete SWOT analysis to be conducted, thus resulting in bad process and a bad management of that process. The bottom line is failure to execute or following the plan is the primary reason why strategic plans fail. There are 5 main components of the strategic process. First is to clarify the vision. This stage consists of identifying 3 key facets. First, defining both short-term and long-term objectives. Second, identify the process of how to accomplish your objective. Finally, customizing the process for your staff, and then giving each person a task with which they can be successful. The second component is to gather and analyze information. In this aspect, you are to gather as much information and data as possible, and that is relevant to accomplishing your vision. The focus of the analysis should be on understanding the needs of the business as a sustainable long-term entity, its strategic direction, and identifying initiatives that will help grow your business. The third step is to formulate a strategy. Here you will review the information that was garnered from completing the analysis. At that point, you will determine what resources the business currently has that can help reach the defined goals and objectives. Also, at this stage, you will identify any areas of which the business must seek external resources. So if you are short in one area, you obviously either must subcontract and outsource it or bring in other personnel in order to meet that requirement. The fourth step is to implement your strategy. This is the action stage of the strategic management. If the overall strategy does not work with the business culture, a new structure must be installed at the beginning of this stage. Everyone within the organization must be made clear of their responsibilities and duties and how that fits within the overall goal and objective. The last step is to evaluate and control. This is where you're going to institute performance measures. You're going to have consistent review of internal and external issues, and you're going to make corrective actions when necessary. As businesses change and evolve, as the environment changes and evolves, so should the plan. You must monitor both internal and external issues that will allow you to be more proactive versus reactive. The strategic manager has a few defined tasks and roles. The primary task of the strategic manager is to conceptualize, design, and execute the company strategies. For this purpose, he or she will have to include the mission and the goals of the organization, determining what business it should be in, allocating resources among the different businesses, formulating and implementing those strategies, and then providing leadership for the organization. The strategic manager cannot be a one-person do-it-all, but rather they must be able to delegate a task to the most likely person to succeed in that role. They must be able to hold those people accountable. And then also, when things don't go according to plan, they must be able to adapt, change, and if need be, potentially with personnel, make changes as well. Overall, companies do need a strategic plan. This is important to an organization because it provides a sense of direction and it outlines measurable goals for that organization. Without these goals and the direction of the organization, it's almost going to be like a nomad out wandering the wilderness with no clear defined goal and objective, out there just going with the flow. Strategic management is a tool that, if done correctly and properly, can be useful for guiding day-to-day decisions and also for evaluating processes and changing those approaches when needed to. Thank you for your time and have a great evening.